Mauricio Umansky may be opening himself up to the dating world again, but he insists he's still very much navigating life on his own. The longtime Real Housewives of Beverly Hills personality recently gave fans a candid update about where he stands personally, professionally, and emotionally as he moves through a new chapter. During a recent interview, Mauricio reflected on the timeline of his separation from Kyle Richards, a topic he normally approaches with care. "It's been a couple of years now," he said, adding that he hadn't kept a strict count because his focus has been on staying grounded and forward-moving. What mattered to him most, he said, was that he was entering this next stage with honesty. "I'm on my own," Mauricio continued. "I'm single, I'm meeting new people, and that's simply where I'm at in my life right now." Mauricio steps into a bold new fashion moment. His update came while he was promoting his latest modeling project, an energetic and daring campaign with Aerie Soho, a New York retailer he has collaborated with several times over the years. Mauricio described the photoshoot as one that leaned into bold styling, dramatic visuals, and a slightly mischievous touch meant to capture the brand's spirit. "I'm not trying to look like someone younger. I'm embracing who I am today," he explained. The shoot included theatrical poses, distinctive styling, and an avant-garde atmosphere meant to push Mauricio into a fresh creative territory. He laughed while noting some of the props and poses that ended up in the final collection, calling the shoot artistic, daring, and a lot of fun. The campaign quickly began circulating online, sparking a wave of reactions across social media. Many fans praised the confidence and flair Mauricio brought to the camera, pointing out how natural he looked in the high-fashion environment. A few of the campaign images, including one where he gazed directly into the lens while stylists adjusted his outfit, drew especially strong attention. How Kyle Richards responded to the shoot. Of course, anytime Mauricio appears in the public eye, Argito-based fans immediately wonder how Kyle Richards, his longtime partner and now co-parent in a new phase of life, reacts. According to Mauricio, Kyle not only saw the campaign but had kind words for it. In a group chat with their family, she commented that the photos looked great and praised one image in particular where he stood with a drink in hand, styled in a dramatic coat. "We get along really well," Mauricio said when asked about their rapport. Despite no longer sharing the same day-to-day life, the two have made it clear that mutual respect and support remain at the forefront of their relationship. Their daughters echoed similar sentiments. Alexia told him the photos were super handsome, while Farah expressed that he looked really great in the campaign. For Mauricio, hearing encouragement from his family meant more than the online reaction. Kyle's take on their new normal at BravoCon 2025. Kyle addressed the topic of boundaries, independence, and life changes during BravoCon 2025, offering clarity about how she and Mauricio approach this stage. "We each live our own lives," she said from the Live-In in Beverly Hills panel. "But we've always put our family first." She went on to explain that while they maintain a positive connection, they don't typically discuss anything personal or private about one another's social or romantic pursuits. "It's not something we talk about. We don't really need to," Kyle shared with a smile. She even joked that if she ever wanted an update on Mauricio's public life, she could find it on entertainment outlets anyway. Kyle emphasized that their priority has always been their family, and that navigating this transition with patience and kindness has allowed them to maintain peace and stability. "We're grateful," she said, "because the most important thing is the love we have for our kids and the fact that we've stayed united in that." As the Aerie Soho campaign continued to circulate, Mauricio found himself entering a phase he hadn't quite expected, one filled with new opportunities, unexpected encouragement, and a noticeable shift in how the public viewed him. For years, he had been primarily recognized as Kyle Richards' husband, the calm, steady presence on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, who balanced luxury real estate with an equally busy family life. But now, for the first time in a long time, he felt the spotlight turn onto him as an individual. And he wasn't running from it. In fact, he seemed ready to understand who he was without the labels that had filled his life for decades. Reclaiming identity through work, Mauricio devoted himself fully to his projects, both in real estate and in creative ventures. He insisted that the modeling campaign wasn't an attempt to reinvent himself, but rather an opportunity to explore sides of his personality that had always explored in a big way. Behind the scenes, the campaign wasn't just a one-day photo shoot. It was the result of weeks of conceptual meetings, wardrobe fittings, brand planning, and conversations about how he wanted to present himself at this stage of his life. He and the airy Soho styling team played with ideas: bold jackets, dramatic lighting, aesthetic references from vintage fashion magazines, even mood boards inspired by classic photography. The final result was more daring than anything Mauricio had ever taken part in, but it also felt, in his words, unexpectedly authentic. Why fans responded so strongly? Part of the reason the campaign gained such rapid traction was that fans felt they were seeing a new, more expressive version of him. On RHOBH, Mauricio often appeared as the grounded counterpart to the Beverly Hills flair around him. He was the calm voice, the easy laugh, the person who held the room steady when the drama escalated. So watching him embrace a bold, editorial-style persona was surprising, but in a good way. Fans commented that there was a certain confidence in the photos that hadn't been fully visible before. Others said the images represented someone stepping into their own identity after decades of being part of a pair. Many simply enjoyed seeing him have fun and lean into creativity. He didn't expect the response to be so personal, so intense, or so positive. "I think people can tell when you're being honest," he said. And this campaign felt honest, just different from what people are used to. Inside his new approach to life. While Mauricio was grateful for the attention, he made it clear that personal growth, not publicity, was his main goal. Friends close to him said he had been focusing heavily on maintaining balance, spending time with his daughters, staying connected to work, and taking on new challenges that made him feel energized. He had started reading more, traveling more frequently for work, and spending time with friends he hadn't been able to see regularly during the busiest years of his marriage and career. And that included friendships viewers had watched evolve on the show. One friend said Mauricio's new chapter didn't look like reinvention so much as rediscovery. "He's figuring out how to live in this new rhythm," the friend said. "He's open to new things, but he hasn't lost who he is." Kyle and Mauricio's unspoken agreement. What intrigued fans most, however, was how Mauricio and Kyle continued maintaining a calm, respectful relationship amid all the public attention. Their ability to communicate without tension, something rarely seen during high-profile separations, sparked curiosity from longtime viewers. People wanted to know, how did they manage it? How did they stay so supportive of each other? According to people close to the family, they had made an agreement early on. No matter what happened, their daughters remained the priority. That meant communication had to stay clear, respectful, and steady. It also meant that even as they lived separate lives, they still showed up for birthdays, family events, and important milestones. Kyle continued to attend family gatherings where Mauricio was present. Mauricio continued to celebrate important accomplishments in their daughters' lives, often alongside Kyle. They may have been on different paths, but those paths frequently crossed, and neither seemed bothered by it. At BravoCon, when Kyle said they didn't talk about each other's personal lives, she meant it literally. They didn't pry, interrogate, or assume. They focused on what mattered. "We're both creating new routines," Kyle said during the panel. "But we're doing it without losing the sense of family we built." Behind closed doors, how their daughters are handling the change. In the aftermath of the separation, their daughters, Farah, Alexia, Safia, and Portia, stood together with impressive unity. Growing up on camera had already given them thicker skin than most people their age, but the reality of their family changing still required adjustment. According to insiders, the girls handled it with maturity. They helped each other process the shift in their parents' lives, maintaining close communication and spending time together as often as possible. Mauricio said their support meant everything to him. "They're my world," he shared. "They want me to be happy, and they want their mom to be happy. That's our foundation." Their daughters had been raised in a house filled with humor, family dinners, shared traditions, and years of memories. So when things changed, they chose to preserve the spirit of togetherness rather than resist the transition. How the public response changed their dynamic. Naturally, being part of a public family meant their separation didn't remain private for long. But unlike many public relationships that fracture under attention, theirs seemed to settle into something stable.